Okay, good evening. Another Q&A session. We have a few questions that we didn't do yesterday, and there were quite a few, as you can see in front of me. Sometimes we kind of measure, depending on how many questions there are, how peaceful and calm people are. But on the other hand, we were also saying if something is bothering you, please put it on a piece of paper so that you can get some peace and quiet. So maybe you put it on a piece of paper and you were peaceful and quiet. So hopefully that's the case. So we'll see how we go. We can always do a few more tomorrow. Have a few more sessions then. Sometimes it overflows. Since it is the last evening that we have together, and since we've done kind of the offering of the jars with candles to the stupas outside in the past and had quite good feedback for it, we'll do it again in this group tonight. And very often I organized it a little bit more and kind of choreographed it a little bit, but this time I just put jars with the candles and the lighters outside the hall. Because sometimes with the Q&A, some people wish to listen and they're interested, and then after a while they need a break, or they heard enough and they just want to go and sit quietly or rest. So please feel free to do so. So everything is ready out there. Just a few ideas how that could be used. We used to do that in the monastery in Germany, in Ayakema's place, which is called, or basically probably was called, Metta Vihara. Maybe still is, I'm not sure. And we would do that at the 8 preceptors every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks the monks, they confess and they recite the Patimokkha, their rules. And it was kind of a reflection for us lay people. And the ceremony involved having the candles and offering them to the shrine, offering them to the Buddha, as a way of kind of letting go of the things that haven't worked out so well, or that we might feel some regret about or be sorry about, to kind of let go of that, to offer it to the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha to kind of take care of them, if they don't mind, and leave them here, so when you go back home you don't take them with you. The other aspect that kind of came later is the aspect on reflecting what the candle actually means. And when we have candles on the shrine, then that symbolizes the light which is dispelling the darkness. And that light is the light of wisdom. But obviously, whatever works for yourself, if you just want to visualize it as wisdom, which has the quality of kindness as well. Ajahn Brahm very often says that those things are intricately connected, that they're actually the same thing. When you're wise, you're kind. When you're kind, when you're really kind, then wisdom is right behind there. So please feel free to do that in your own time, or come out with us when we finished with the session here, which will be at the latest at 8:30, or we're aiming to get there by 8:30. Another thing you can do, which I encourage you to do if you feel comfortable, is to take off your shoes and to just walk mindfully and actually feel the stone and feel the grass that has been kept very nicely by Angus, and the sprinklers are on. 2 days ago I tested it out with little candles, and the sprinklers came on at night, and I was telling him it was like mission impossible to get there without getting hit by the sprinklers and get the candles. I got wet, but it was fun. But we made sure the sprinklers are not going to come on tonight, so we should be fine. And then what we traditionally do, if you want to do that as well, is we keep our right side to the stupa, to the monument, and in the monument there is a Buddha statue inside. So that's our kind of showing of respect when we circumambulate, when we walk around something, having our right shoulder to it. And usually it's the bare shoulder, or just, if we're wearing a jacket, which kind of shows that you come in peace, that you're not wearing a weapon. And traditionally we do that 3 times, and then we offer the candle. But whatever you wish to do, if you want to just grab a candle and put it there and hang out and soak up the energy and do your own thing, perfectly fine. Whatever works. And at about 10 o'clock maybe we'll come and blow all the candles out just to make sure it's still fire season, so don't want to cause any problems. Okay. Do you want to add anything for the ceremony? Or?
No, it's pretty
all good. Okay, so I have the first question for you. Thank you so much for the guidance and this amazing retreat. I was lucky to be a part of it. My question is, sometimes when doing sitting meditation, I tend to fall asleep, especially after lunch session. Very common. Because all the blood, where is the blood? It's not up here, it's down there. Walking meditation could be one way to overcome sleepiness. But are there any other tricks or tactics we can use to fight sleepiness? Fight sleepiness during sitting meditation.
Okay, you see after lunch, if you have a full meal, we do feel like we need a rest and have a quick nap. Walking meditation is a great way to not get too drowsy. Because in Thailand, some of the monks, they do go for some walking meditation after lunch. The other way to practice is just to do, like you say, you just sit and you just allow your eye to be open and just stare at the object. So it can be a beautiful flower. It can be a tea candle light, or even a Buddha object, Buddha Rupa, like this one here. But when you stay on that, you allow your gaze to gaze in that object. And if you're skillful enough, the mind can be calm and peaceful just by gazing at that object. And sometimes in Zen Buddhism, that's why they sit down and just stare at a blank wall. And sometimes if you stare at the wall long enough, it's like interesting thing, like Ajahn Brahm was saying that when he was a layperson, he would stare at the wall and the wall would disappear. And I know of this Anigarika at Bodhidhaja. He used to go for a walk and just sit down and watch the sunset. Because the sunset is so beautiful while he's sitting in the ocean. He was just gazing at the sunset with peace and delight. Then suddenly he noticed his mind just become white, got white, and just everything just turned white. Then he realized that his mind was just generating a nimitta. Because a nimitta is just a light that arises in the mind when we are free and very happy. So it's like the mind is turning from darkness to brightness. And when that happens, you see there's a lot of peace and joy in one's heart. So it shows the mindfulness has become quite strong, or we say sometimes supercharger. It's like powering up the mindfulness of the mind. So that's one way, is to stare in the object and just enjoy staring at an object. It can be a flower, it can be a low tea light, or it can be a Buddha Rupa, or sometimes just enjoying the sunset. In some practice, they call it the casino practice, where you stare at a circle, then when the mind is calm and peaceful, it turns into a circle. And from that, a practitioner can enter into that brightness. So it can be done, but you have to develop good enough calm and stillness in sitting meditation, then when you switch to an object, it arises naturally. Okay, so that's all I can think of.
One other way that might be helpful, so when you are doing walking meditation, there is a constant movement. And that constant movement, unless you're standing still at the end, at the beginning of the path, gives the mind a little bit of something to do. And your senses are also kind of open and awake. Now, if that works, please do that. If there is enough mindfulness to still be able to have your eyes closed and do the sitting meditation, but you need something that is a bit easier to stay with and to be with in this kind of continuous manner, like you can be with the walking and the movement of your feet. I'll probably guide a meditation like that tomorrow, where you do a body sweep, but you go through the body and you feel like your awareness is water, which is touching your body and making your body wet, and then rolling down on your body. And when you rest your mindfulness, your awareness on that kind of point, for me it's like it's round at the top, and then it starts to spread evenly down your head. And you can, now when I do that with my hand, I can actually feel that. And I can feel the movement, and I can stay with the movement. And I can have that movement scan down, wash down over the whole body. And that gives some kind of continuity, some interest that can keep the mind interested enough to stay with the meditation object. But maybe we try that tomorrow and you can see how that works for you. It does tend to bring up more wakefulness for myself. Have a hot shower, drink a cup of, or maybe a cold shower actually, drink a cup of tea, things like that can also help. In the sutras it says rub your earlobes to bring your circulation back into your head. As I was saying before, it's just biology. And don't eat too much. Have some breakfast, have some lunch, and just have enough. Not too little, but not too much either. Oh, what is the meaning of life? Very good. Don't know. I mean, okay, I was asked this question once, and it was actually in relation of, death and dying, and one answer which kind of really makes sense, and which I used again today actually, when someone came and shared their near-death experience with us, and was experiencing some kind of survivor's guilt, and saying, why am I here? Why didn't I die? Do I deserve to be here? What's the point, basically? And I try to suggest that if we can see life as a learning experience, then we have a purpose. If we can use this title that one of the books of Ajahn Chah's talks had, it was called Everything is Teaching Us. So our job is to listen. Our job is to be open. Our job is to find out what life is trying to teach us. Because everything that arises in our own hearts arises for a reason. Arises because there is resistance, because there is an ego, because there is friction. And if we understand and learn from that, then that friction becomes less and less and less. And at some point, when the ego disappears, then the friction disappears. Then the movement disappears. And then life itself disappears when we die and we don't come back. Maybe that's the meaning of life in Buddhist terms. What do you reckon?
Yeah, the meaning of life is something quite deep. So everyone have different experiences. I guess for myself, I realize sometimes the meaning of life is to find happiness, peace, and freedom. Because in the world that we live in, there's so many things that promise us happiness, but deliver so less. The more we work, the harder we strive, and the more busier we become. And as we get older, we realize things are always changing. Like one thing might be will bring us happiness, then a few years down the track, it brings us a lot of suffering. So things are always changing. It's impermanent. And the more we attach to things in the world through the five senses, that promise happiness, it actually brings us a lot of suffering later down the track, especially when we get older. Our health fail. Even myself, I have this constant ringing all the time, and it sounds like a jet engine. I think if I didn't become a Buddhist or practice meditation, I'd probably go mad already with this constant noise in my hearing. But I realize this is just an object, and I don't react to it. Then I realize it's not a problem. It's only if I say, this is driving me mad, I can't meditate. But I see it is a meditation object. If I make peace with it, then it's not a problem. So having the right attitude is quite important. Because when we went to Thailand to speak to some of these Kruba Ajahns, they are in their 80s and 90s. And we asked him a lot of questions about practice. Should we go deep in the forest? Do we do more meditation? Should we keep away from the community and live as a hermit? And they say that happiness is in that very moment. You don't find happiness by yourself or in deep meditation. Basically, you find happiness in this very moment. You find out what is irritating your heart, and you make peace with that. Or you make peace with things that arise that make us very unhappy or distressed. We make peace with our heart, then we find happiness is there. So there's some of these like famous meditation master. It says the practice is timeless. Regardless if you're practicing for 3 months during the Vasa, in a rain retreat, or you're by yourself, every moment is where the practice is. So you make peace with yourself every moment, regardless what you're doing. So when peace arises, then wisdom will arise at the same time. But some of these meditation teachers, I don't know how far they go in their practice. I mean, usually there's a lot of rumors from lay people and other monastics, but some reckon they have finished the practice already. So I say, yeah, it's possible. Because some of them seems very happy and also very at ease and peaceful. Yeah. So that's an amazing experience. Yep. So I guess the meaning of life is to find inner peace with oneself and every moment.
Okay, next one for you. Can you please explain Panyati and Paramattha? No, because I'm not a Pali scholar. Sorry. Ask Ajahn Brahmali or ask someone who actually knows exactly what the terms mean. I don't.
Same for myself. I just love to practice and do the normal chores. I'm sorry, I'm not a bookworm. I don't spend hours reading books or looking at all the details. Yep. I just like to work, practice, and support the community. So you probably have to ask someone that loves reading books. Yep, that question.
You're happy to do another one because we can't answer it? Okay, dear Ajahns, I find it really difficult to be compassionate to flies at home. All right. I can deal with roaches, crickets, worms. Well, we all have our thing. I let them live. However, when there's flies roaming around and I can't catch and release them passionately, I should stop reading here, I resort to a whack. I'm bringing up myself, am I bringing upon myself bad karma as I don't treat their life as equal? Thank you.
Okay. I think things that irritate us is you see a teaching. We have to see the flies or the mosquitoes as our teachers, because they're just doing stuff in nature. Flies will fly around and look for stuff to eat and lay their eggs. Mosquito will look for blood to basically feed itself so they can eat, so they can develop those eggs and lay it. So sometimes things that irritate us a lot, we realize that it's not a problem. It's only a problem and if we react to it. So one example of that is when we went to Thailand to stay. After working through the whole day, doing our chores, and when we go back to our room to rest, the next thing we noticed, the resort that we're staying, the monastery they're staying down the road, they was having a karaoke, playing loud music, and at first it was quite annoying. Then I realized it's just sound, and the reaction to the noise was actually the biggest irritation. But we realized it's just sound, it's just people enjoying themselves down the road next to the monastery. Because when I was younger, ordaining at Bodhidhaja Monastery, one of the kuti I stayed was very close to the lookout at Kingsbury Drive. So we have a lot of young people that come in and play loud music all through the night, from maybe 10 o'clock until almost dawn. So I used to get quite annoyed. Then I stopped and I realized when I was younger, I also go to the nightclub with my friend, and I used to drive around in my car with a loud stereo, driving around the neighborhood. So when I was younger, I was doing silly things like that. So I realized that's why I have ringing now. Maybe I was playing too much loud music in my car when I was younger. So I realized it's just noise. And sometimes we make peace with the noise, make peace with the insects, make peace with the mosquito, then it's not a problem. It's just our reaction in our heart. Because sometimes they do play so much music, and some of the people that stay in the monastery, they'll call the police up, then they'll drive away and do burns out and make a lot of noise the next day. Or sometimes some of the people in the community will walk up to the lookout and tell them not to stop making the noise. But young people are just messing around. Yep. So noise is something can be a good teacher for us. Same with the animals and the insect and things that irritate us. Because they are showing us that when things arise, that's irritating. We just look, we realize that it's just insect doing things in their nature. The noise is part of nature too. And sometimes you look at the opposite. Why are they there? They're there for a purpose. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think one thing that you can do is to try to not have them come in the first place, if that's possible. Have fly screens, have fly doors and things like that. And to realize that, even though they look very different and they're much more kind of vulnerable than we are, and we're much bigger and all that kind of stuff, they're still a sentient being. They have a family, they have a will to live, they don't want to be hurt, and then you don't really want to hurt them. You want to protect them as much as possible. So, of course, you deal with these inner things that arise and learn from them, and then you develop compassion, develop kindness towards them as much as you can. And you understand that the anger and the resentment in your heart is where the problem starts. Because if you kind of think this trajectory to the end, then you kind of justify, okay, I'm like this, they're like that, they're irritating, because they're lower, because they're smaller, I have the right to kind of harm them or hurt them or send them away or whatever it is. And if you're not careful, then that kind of idea grows and becomes stronger and then plays out. Not for you, I mean, you're not presidents and things like that, but if you think this kind of thought pattern, then you will be willing to other nations, other people, and say, we have more rights than these people and they are actually like a pest. And then at some stage, you feel that you have the right, to eradicate them or kill them. And even if you had that power and that ability, and you would kill every being on this planet that irritates you, what would happen when all the irritating people and animals and whatever there is are killed? You would feel irritated with what's happening in your own heart, and you would want to kill that. It just doesn't end. So if we can stop it as soon as possible. And yes, this is my space. May you be happy and well somewhere else. Not in here. But I remember when I was talking to my relatives in Czech Republic, they have a lot of ticks. And they saw me to take the tick off my body and, put it gently on a piece of paper and bring it outside back into the forest. And I was like, what are you doing? Because they would put it in a piece of paper, wrap it up, yes, take it out to the ashtray and burn it to make sure that it actually dies, or flush it down the toilet or whatever, because you can sometimes put them through a washing machine and they're still fine. But they just couldn't understand. They couldn't fathom it. I was working in Switzerland instead of doing military service on a farm, and they have this sticky paper that they put up in the shed, and the flies get stuck on it. And they asked me to do that. And I felt very bad. And we had a short discussion, and the farm lady thought about it for a little while, but then her mind resorted to, they are irritating. Is that reason enough to kill another being? That's a question you have to ask yourself. Of course, hurt happens, and sometimes there is unintended consequences and beings die in the process. And that's hard to watch too, but that is part of life. I remember we had our bin in Kusala Hermitage, and the flies got in and they laid their eggs, and the maggots were starting to come out, and they're falling out of the bin and straight down to the ants that were eating and gobbling them up. And I was trying to save them and help them, but I couldn't. And I don't know why, but for some reason this picture arose in my mind of the Twin Towers. And they're alight, they're burning, and you're seeing the people jump out of the window. There's nothing you can do. Sometimes there is nothing you can do. This is the world. But we can have compassion. We have kindness. And we wish that people can find peace and wisdom in their heart, that they don't resort to feeling superior than other beings and having the right to decide over their lifespan. That's what comes to mind. How to keep your peace when there are toxic people around you whose aim it is to destroy you, or at least to hurt you. That's my one, is it?
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Maybe try to keep it short. I don't really believe that people, or the majority of people, are out there really wanting to destroy and hurt. But sometimes, irritation or some of these mind states might propel them towards these kind of things. But very often, people who hurt. And when we understand that, we can have kindness and compassion for that hurt in that person. Because if that hurt wouldn't be there, then they wouldn't hurt other people. Anyway, I talked quite a bit. You want to add some?
Yep. Maybe I'll quickly short. I think from my experience, I realize sometimes people do have conditioning, and those conditioning can be quite strong. Because as a guest monk in Bodhidhaja last time, and also in New Buddhist monastery, we have some guests that come in. They're nice people, but sometimes they can trigger quite easily. One time this person came in and he wanted to use a chainsaw. I said, no problem. He took it, he used it, and I go, hey, he didn't use the protecting, the mask and all the protecting gears. But as the guest monk, you're responsible for people's welfare. So I told another monk to let him know, don't use the chainsaw, you don't have any protective equipment. But somehow, when he heard about that, he got quite upset. And he came and told me that he used chainsaw many times, and he know what he's doing. So I say, please use some protective equipment for your safety. And he got quite angry and upset that I was telling him to wear protective equipment. So he basically told me off, shouted at me, and threatened that if I have something against him, please let him know now so he can leave the monastery. And I say, look, I just want you to be safe. But if you want to leave, it is your choice. Yep. I mean, we do value your service to the monastery, but he did work very hard. So he went back and was a bit sad, and he came back and apologized, and he told me why he overreacted. He told me that when he was younger, his dad was very abusive towards him, and because of that, he was conditioned to react really strongly. So I realized sometimes we don't know people's background. We know we don't know where they're from. But after a while, he became a really good friend and supporter in the one monastery that I was supporting. Yep. And everything that he does was always to support the community. And when we need a driver, he always put his hand up and drive us out to Bunnings or to the airport. But sometimes I realize that it does have some bad qualities, but also it has a lot of good qualities. And he's making a lot of effort to improve. Yep. So things like that, I find that most of the time it's just conditioning. Okay, thank you.
Next one for you.
Oh.
Thank you for presenting the retreat. Okay, please tell us about yourselves and your backgrounds. Yes, someone came and asked in the interviews, and we said, okay, maybe That's a question for everybody, because that's a question we get all the time. So let's see what comes up tonight.
Okay, I'll keep it short because we have too many questions here. Okay, so myself, I was born in Malaysia. I came across Buddhism when I was 23. At that time, I was going through a lot of depression. I can't stop thinking. I was thinking of even committing suicide, because my thinking was driving me mad, to the point I cannot sleep at night for 2 weeks. A lot of anxiety, a lot of anger. I was basically a basket case. Because I was working out of the mines. My family is in Perth. And I was drinking, smoking, a little bit of drug use. But I was hanging out with friends that was messing around, and just a lot of ego stuff and bad behavior. And also complaining about problems over and over again. So I became a complainer, a very negative person. So it actually affected my health, and I just feel terrible. I feel like there's no meaning in life. I should just go and jump off the cliff. But luckily, one time there's a Vesak celebration. I went there, and it just felt very peaceful and very calm. So when I got a taste of the temple, the calmness of the place, the next day I went back there, and I put some incense stick, pay my respect to the Buddha. I say, if there's any happiness or meaning in life, I guess the Buddha will probably know the answer to all this. So so when I went back to the center, actually I went there and paid respect to the temple first, because my family, some of my friends and family was drinking and singing karaoke and getting complete, what's the word? Not wasted, getting really happy. But next door was a Buddhist temple, so I just had enough of the noise and stuff. I need a break. So I walked next door, and there was a Buddhist temple there. So I paid my respect, and it was so peaceful. And then a week later, there was Vesak celebration. I went there and it was so peaceful. Then I asked one of the members if there's any books on Buddhism. So when I found a simple book about good questions and good answers, as soon as I read that book, everything makes sense. I realized human existence is a lot of suffering, and the reason why we suffer because we want things and we don't want things, and because there's so much craving and discontent in our heart, it will lead to suffering in one's mind. And I go, yep, that makes sense. Okay, so I put the effort in to understand what's suffering. So the more I practice, the more I read, then I realize happiness comes from a mind that's discontent. Then I listen to some talk and how to practice loving kindness. I say, okay, I'll try that. So I wake up, just be happy, smile to myself, and just watch my feeling all the time, and remove all that negative thoughts, and just replace it with joy and happiness. So when I did that for about 2 weeks, I just felt really happy that I can sleep well, and it turned my life around. So basically that was the Brahma Viharas. But at that time I was too new, I don't know what it was. And one of the members asked me if I want to learn meditation. I said, yes, please, I'll just try everything. So she gave me a set of tapes, and the teacher was Ajahn Brahma Bonsola. So when I listened to the guided meditation and also the Dharma talk, first time I did meditation with Ajahn Brahma's instruction, because it's so simple, just letting the body relax, making it peaceful, and just allow the mind to be calm and peaceful and stay with the breath. When I have a taste of peace and silence. It was so, we say, it was so joyful to have peace and calmness in the mind that it's just full of tears coming out from my eyes, constantly coming out. Because when your mind is from madness to joy, then to complete calm and still. When you taste that peace and freedom, it's like a great relief. Yep. So after that, I came to the monastery. I asked more questions about meditation. The more I learned, the more I wanted it. My meditation went down. But one day I realized, why did I become a Buddhist and why did I start to do meditation? And the only thing that came up in my heart is I wanted peace and happiness. So when I reflect back the reason why I did meditation, it was always to find peace and happiness. So when that came back again, then I find meditation was very delightful, enjoyable. Yep. But when I was 23, I asked my parents if I got ordained as a monk to try things out. My parents say, no, you cannot ordain. And I say, why? They say, you just finished your study, you just start work, we brought you up your whole life, not to throw you away and become a monastic. Basically, they say I owe them. So I said, okay, no worries. I'll just wait for 10 years. So I come to Bodhidhaja every year, come for 2 weeks to a month, and it was fun. I really enjoy meditation because it's like the environment here. It's like all you here come and do some retreats. It's very, very enjoyable. Have a lot of fun, good memories. So after not 10 years, 11 years, I decided to ask my parents again. Okay, so over 10 years has passed. Can I ordain as a monastic and give it a go? And my parents say, no, you cannot ordain. I say, okay, another 10 years. And they go, yep, another 10 years. I decided to ask another question. So if I stay at home and support the family for another 10 years, would that be late? Yes? And my parents said, the answer will be always no. I got lucky I asked that question. So I don't waste 20 years. And I asked why. And my parents say, as long as they are alive, you can never ordain. So I say, oh, that's not fair. So I look at the internet and I realize there are some people that did ordain, the only son or the only daughter. And there's one person that was the only son and he has to wait until his parents pass away before he ordained in his 60s. And I stopped and I realized, look, I got one older brother, one younger brother, and one sister. So there's 4 kids in the family. So it's not too bad. So I decided, okay, I'll just go and join the monastery, regardless of what my parents say, because I got 2 brothers and 1 sister. My parents should be happy with that. Okay. And if they have grandkids, that's fine. We'll say the family lineage will continue on. So I went and joined the monastery, and it was great. I have a lot of fun. And the meditation is also improving. I did tell my parents, I'll do this for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, then maybe I'll go back home. But it ended up, after 10 years, I say maybe I'll just stay in the monastery for 10 years, then I'll go back home. So that way, I know what Buddhism is like. I get my practice, my meditation, hopefully good enough, so I can maintain it as a lay person. But after 10 years as a monastic, I realized I'm actually quite happy being a monastic. And it's a lot of benefit to myself and other people. I find that I'm not the best teacher, but when I went to Malaysia and taught, some people actually got good result. And I think one lady got into very deep meditation. And one lady got cancer over the body. I told her some teaching, and she just felt so happy. And one of the supporters said that she was always very fault-finding all the time. But I explained to her about the teaching in 4 different ways. And after that, she got it. And she became quite peaceful after that. Yep. And one of the support told me that when she was younger, she actually getting very good samadhi. So actually, she became more happy and more peaceful. So I told myself, okay, so I'm not too bad after all. So I just continue practicing. And I went to a monastery in Victoria, and they were struggling too. So I stayed there and supported them for like close to 8 years. And now they're doing quite well. Yep. So yeah, and Bhante Conrado is at that monastery, and they always say he's seen this picture of Bhante Cunda always there working, and he wonder why I left. I say it's time to have a break. Yeah, because when you work morning and afternoon, 7 days a week, after a while you get a slight headache, and you become a bit grumpy. So when I came back to the monastery, the monks noticed I was a bit grumpy and negative because overwork and too many complaints and stuff like that. But after a week, I just become happy and peaceful again. So yeah, always number one, always go back to the practice. Okay, I think that's a bit too long. I'll stop.
I was born in Switzerland to immigrants from Czech Republic, from Czechoslovakia back then, as the youngest child of 3. And when I was 4, I had the funny idea to just go over to my neighbor and ring the doorbell and see what happens. And she came, and usually no one came. She was kind of living a bit of a hermit life. And she sees this little boy there. She's just kind of leaning in the doorway. And he runs into her apartment, starts running up and down, and goes into her bedroom and starts jumping on her bed. She's like, who's this fellow? I mean, she realized that I was coming from next door. And apparently she gave me a glass of orange juice, and that's how we kind of connected. And my mom started looking for me, 10, 15 minutes later, so she came over and they kind of connected as well. And she kind of has a feeling and told me on many occasions that she feels we've made an appointment in a past life to come and meet again. She was very instrumental in my life. We've known each other for 40 years now. So she wasn't a Buddhist herself at that time, but she was definitely interested in spirituality. And as time progressed, she got to know the monastics in India. One of them was traveling from India to Switzerland teaching, and she connected me with that one specific monk, Bhante Ananda from Bangalore. And a few years down the track, I started attending retreats. And in one of those retreats, in weekend course, he invited me to go to India. So I think it took me a little while, and it took her a lot of convincing to tell my mom, he's going to be fine, we know the people there, and don't worry about it, all this kind of stuff. So when I was 21, I did travel to India. And the idea was that I would go there to do a 9-day Goenka retreat, which never happened, but they had a Papacha course in the monastery that I was staying at the same time, which means that you come and you temporarily ordain as a monastic. And they asked, would you be interested in that? And I said, yeah, why not? not knowing exactly what I was kind of getting myself into. And, before you know it, the next day, the novices there in that monastery, about 160, were helping me to shave my head and put on the yellow robes that they have there as a novice monk, and giving me the 10 precepts. And Acharya Buddharakkhita, which was the teacher of Bhante Ananda, was kind of the one who I went to see after I've taken my precepts. And he gave me the name Bodhidhaja that I still carry today. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but there were 3 or 2 others that were also part of that kind of retreat, and I would get some instructions from Cunda Bhante and just practice the instructions that I was given. And I stayed as a temporary monk for maybe about 2.5 weeks or something like that. And then because it was my summer vacation and I just had a limited time, so the time came to go into the social project of the Mahabodhi Society. I promised that I will go there. I was already training as a teacher and they had a school there for disadvantaged kids. So silly me, having enjoyed, being a monastic and doing this practice, asked if I could go there in robes. And he said, no. When you leave this monastery, this is just a temporary ordination. You leave your robes here and you go and do your thing over there. And I was just in a relationship with my girlfriend for 9 months, and she kind of knew that this is important for me, so she let me go. But I was writing letters to her at that time, and then I think I already wrote in that letter that part of Nicholas that I used to be has disappeared, and there is this new thing called Bodhidhaja. And even though I've kind of left the robes, this is kind of come with me in the rest of my life. And I decided then and then that I would like to investigate or just find out more about this and do this for longer period than just 2.5 weeks. And when I came back, it was very difficult. For me, I describe it as a path that comes to a crossroad, and you go right, and the other person goes left, or is on the left side. And even though you sometimes wish to go back and go on the other side, you've taken the turn, you can't go back. And that was so tough to try and explain it. There's nothing wrong with the person, there's nothing wrong with the relationship as such, but things just shifted, things just changed. Some things that had a meaning just didn't have that meaning anymore. And because of that experience and because of that willingness to want to try it out later down the track, I ended up going to Amravati Monastery for a rains retreat, for a winter retreat, and getting to know people from Germany, and then spending 2 years at Metta Vihara as a layperson, just gradually, slowly, one step at a time, kind of walking deeper into this thing called monastic life and renouncing more and more as I was going along. But for me, it was never this kind of big one step of bang and giving up everything. But wherever I was, I felt more comfortable. I didn't quite feel comfortable to step forward, but I also didn't want to go back. So it just slowly evolved. And there was a monk who came and visited us in Germany, and he told me about Ajahn Brahm, who is coming to Germany. And then and there he said, well, why don't you write a letter to apply to come for the Rains Retreat to Australia? I've already heard Ajahn Brahm's talks. And we sent the fax. And the next day the fax came back from, what was the secretary's name back then? I forget now. He's disrobed now. Anyway. And they said, oh yeah, you look like a good candidate, having kept 8 precepts for a long time and lived in a monastic community. And then I came here and met Kim, Anagarika Kim, in 2009, and that's when we connected and met for the first time. And he saw me sitting one time in the hall, and he said, why don't you give this kind of thing a shot, becoming a monastic? And I just did. It took a while though. I mean, I went back home, I had a world-around ticket, doing a bit of monastery hopping. But after those 8-9 months were over, I decided to come back and become an anagarika. When I became an anagarika, they asked, "Are you becoming a novice?" And I said, "I don't know, but that is my intention. Let's see what happens." And that was good enough. And I guess the rest is history. Okay. All right. My turn. Is it? What's the time? Okay, 5 to 8. What is your opinion? What? Okay. What is your opinion on sakyant tattoos? Again, I don't know. I don't know what that even is.
Some kind of tattoo?
Yeah, probably it's some of the tattoos that some people have in Thailand that are connected with maybe even some kind of spirits or protection or something. Does it ring a bell? Or do you know?
I don't know, but I can relate to something.
Okay, please, go for it.
So some monks in Thailand, they are full of tattoos. So they put the Buddhist teaching tattoo on over the body. And sometimes they think that will protect him from danger or harm. And when we went to visit some of the Krupa Ajahns in Thailand, they will say that those tattoos don't even protect the monastic against cold. So something like that don't even work. Our true protection is our sila, our virtue, and also our purity of mind. Yep. So and also if we do enough good karma, that becomes a natural protection. But in the Dhammapada, if we do good, it will never leave us like a shadow that always follows us. But if we do a lot of unwholesome act, then it will be like a ox cart that will follow that person no matter where they go. So karma is something that cannot be explained. So good action will lead to good result, and unwholesome action will lead to unwholesome result.
Okay, thank you. Is that now still my one, I guess, because I couldn't answer it. I told my wife, okay, I don't know if that's a good start. I told my wife she should embrace her mistakes. She gave me a hug. Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Okay. Sometimes people say Swiss people are too serious and don't get jokes, but I got this one. How to accept the unjust and horrific actions towards innocent children who pass on at the hands of evil people. That's what happens when defilements are in charge. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't have much more to say.
I think human existence is very complex. I mean, the Buddha did say, if we are born in a good country, born in a place, a government that's quite just, born in a good family, born with good health, born quite well off, not starving and stuff. Also born able to listen to the teaching. These are a lot of good karma that we have done in our past life. And that will lead us to a good destination or good rebirth. But if people are into conflict and problem and drama and destruction, sometimes the existence in those areas are always will be problem. But sometimes karma can be so complex, so we try not to think about it. But with kids, because kids are quite young, their mind are very pure, and if they do die, they normally come back again. What I mean by that is, I heard of this case where this lady was driving a car in America, and she got 3 kids in the back, And somehow she got into an accident where this car crashed into her in the back. One child died straight away. The other child went to hospital and died like shortly after that. Then the child died 2 weeks later from her, I think from her injury. So it was 2 girls and 1 boy. So the child was the family was completely devastated, losing 3 children, like within a matter of 2 weeks. But oh well, that's life. Life had to go on. So after a year, the couple decided to start over again. I mean, it was tough. It was really hard. So the wife got pregnant, and they did a scan, and they realized it's triplet. It was 3 child. So when the triplets was born, it was 2 little baby girls and 1 boy. So it seemed like the 2 girls and the little boy that passed away came back to the family. So with kids, they're so young, but their mind is so pure. Even if something drastic happened, dramatic happened, sometimes the mind is so pure, especially kids, they really want to come back. And usually they will always come back to the same family. Yeah. So that's a little nice ending. I heard of this. There's a case that happened in America where 3 little kids passed away within 2 weeks. Yeah. So with kids, you can never know their karma or the goodness they accumulated in their life. So that was a nice little story that I came across. Thank you.
I hope this helps. This is a really tough one. Your one, I guess. Can you please give us an example on how to recognize us, our achievements of being humble and not attaching to our ego? It can be helpful when you have imposter syndrome to know how to do it in a Buddhist way. Okay, let me think. Imposter syndrome is when you think you don't deserve the position or the praise or whatever you are receiving. How to recognize our achievements, but being humble and not attaching to our ego.
Want me to start first?
Yeah, it's your one, I think. Fine. The back and forth is still working?
Okay, I think we are all human beings. There's always a slight intention why we do things like that, to get a bit of recognition and stuff. I think sometimes the main thing is if we have intention and we have right intention to help someone to do things properly, and also be humble is good. Because conceit or sense of self is very hard to remove that. I mean, when we do things, there's always a slight agenda behind. So sometimes you have to be like almost like a anagami, a non-returner, or an arahat, to have no sense of self. So the mind is basically the mind is completely free and pure, where everything is done out of we say pure intention to help someone and not to gain something out of it. Yep. I mean, myself, I find that I just try my best, and I don't get to work out with it, because sometimes it's nice to be recognized for your hard work, but sometimes you realize that's also a conceit or wanting. So we try and do something that will lead us to make us happy, to feel good, and also to help someone. And also if someone sees that it's not coming from pure intention, it's fine. All we do is we try our best, and we try not to, we'll say, blow our trumpet to Master. Because I realize sometimes as a human being, we try our best. When things do right, we get praise. And when things go wrong, we get blame. So sometimes getting blame is a bit harder to take. But sometimes I realize when you run a monastery, when you don't do something right, you get praise. And when you do something wrong, then you also get praise. I realize sometimes everything's out of control. Like you try and do things well, then you get blame, and you feel, oh man, maybe I'm trying hard enough. When you do something out of like being a bit sneaky and do something wrong and go, okay, no one will find out. Then you feel bad about it when things do go wrong. Then people come and praise you and say, that was really good. It's good that you've done it. And I go, oh, really? Don't really did anything properly. So it's like when you give a good Dharma talk, you thought, oh, people might praise you. Then people say, that's terrible. Yeah. I go, okay. Maybe I should shut up next time. But then when you give a really bad Dharma talk, and I feel like people are sleeping, and they don't want to bother anymore. And you go, okay, you feel terrible. You go back, then the next day someone say, wow, that was a really good Dharma talk. That was really nice. Then you go, wow, okay, that's interesting too. So praise and blame and have a sense of self is normal. Yeah. But the main thing is, as long as we have right intention of doing the right thing, that's the most important thing. Yeah.
And there is nothing wrong with having some attachment, as long as that attachment is to the right things and you know when to let go. So just to give an example of someone who came and talked to us during the interviews, I hope, I'm not going to say who the person is, but they had quite a lot of stress and a lot of pain. And it was difficult to meditate. But they came into the room when we were having our lunch offered, and they saw the people offering the lunch, and they saw their happiness, they saw their joy, they saw their jumpiness, and that happiness spread into their minds. And the mind naturally focused on that happiness, because there were also memories from the past which started to arise at that time. And the pain dropped away. The pain disappeared. And then after we talked about this, the person was saying, well, but I was taught that we shouldn't attach to joy. There's something wrong with enjoying and attaching to this thing. And I tried to explain, no, there's nothing wrong. You're rejoicing in the virtue of another person. You are rejoicing and being inspired by the potential of that virtue within yourself. If more people would do that, there would be more of these beautiful qualities in this world. And there would be, our world would be a better place. So of course we encourage that. Of course we hold on to that. Of course we want to develop that. But now we need to understand that virtue is just a quality. Virtue is not me. Virtue is not you. So if we don't make it personal, and if we just increase those beautiful qualities in this world here for everyone, then this kind of concept of ego and of I did this or I didn't do this just doesn't exist, doesn't apply. My one is in, I think, yeah? Hello! Maybe another joke. Raising children is so hard. I care so much. I become anxious. It is so, underlined, much responsibility. How can I practice detachment as a mother, as a father? I worry so much about their future. It is a huge responsibility. I was trained as a primary school teacher, and I taught for 1 year. And I had the little ones. I had the first graders. And I understood how much responsibility that is. Because, you can do a good job, and you can kind of imprint a lot of good things. Or, well, not even imprint. We can encourage a lot of good things to develop and grow. But you can also break a lot of stuff. But children are very resilient. Children are very forgiving. And I made mistakes. But when I was honest about what I did and what I regretted, and when I asked for forgiveness, they would always accept it. And they would always let go so easily. They wouldn't carry it with them. And 7 months later say, "But you did this to me." They get really angry, they get really happy, but it passes. It's like the weather. It doesn't stick around as long. So don't hold on to it yourself. Learn from your children to flow in the same way. But be honest. They know what's going on. And they feel what's going on as well. And if you look after yourself, and if you develop these beautiful qualities in yourself, they will kind of follow in your footsteps. They will follow your example. That's what probably was the most important for me as a teacher as well. If you say one thing and you do another thing, they know. And you kind of lose their respect. And trust also in the seeds that they have in their hearts, and that they will eventually grow and develop and that they become independent. If we overprotect, if we take responsibility for things that they should learn to take responsibility for, then we're not doing them a service. So when they're really small, they're really vulnerable, so it's our job to protect them, to teach them to our best of our ability. But as they grow up, as they become more independent, we let them have their own experiences. We let them make their own mistakes. And when our relationship to them is a good one, then they will come and ask for advice. And they will come and confide in us. And if we don't destroy their trust by punishing them for being honest and telling us what is going on for them, and if we are a mentor, if we are a partner, if we are a facilitator rather than a policeman, then we're probably doing the best we can. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, most likely will be my same answer. So
Okay.
with kids, you take care of them, you give it the best support and best condition. But as they grow up and become teenagers and young adults, you see the teenagers and young adults, they're most vulnerable. They might make a lot of mistakes, but the main thing is to treat them like a friend. So when you're a friend to them, you be honest, you tell them this is reality, then they will respect that and they will learn. And when they learn, then they'll know what's right. Yeah? Because sometimes as parents, we can be overprotective. So what I mean by that is, so I'm the second oldest. I got a young sister. So one time, one of our friends told my older brother, then I got found out from my parents that my little sister was holding hand with some guy at school, at high school. So I got a bit annoyed. Yeah, I wasn't a Buddhist at that time, but for some reason something clicked in my head. So I told my sister off and say, "You didn't come to study and have a relationship." Yeah, I say, and and she got a bit what's the word, anxious because I was like telling her off. And my mom told me that you need to stop telling off your sister because she's getting a bit nervous. I go, okay, that's true. No, not the right way. Yeah. So I realized, okay, maybe I'll just be a friend to her. So I tell my sister, look, it's okay having relationship. Just keep it as friends. Simple as that. And they say, you have to study, and just tell like the young boy that's interested in you. Just be a friend only, and concentrate in your study. And what I mean by that is I tell my sister, as honest as possible, you see one young man, they don't know what they're doing. They might go through a lot of different relationships. He says that's how things are like when people are growing up. They do make mistakes. I see with my friends, they make a lot of mistakes. And then they get emotionally damaged. Then they fall into more mistakes and more problems. I say that if you're clever, just concentrate on your study and become more independent. Because if you study well, you get a good job. Then later on, you find the right person, then you become more successful. I say, you don't want to become, I was really direct to my sister. I say, you don't want to become a soccer baller. So a soccer baller is the guy just pass the ball to one after another. I say, look, I'm a guy, and I see how my friend behave. That's my honest opinion. And I say, there are some nice guys out there. Some of them are quite shy. But also, the shy guys are usually the one that is like not playboys. They actually come from decent family. Yep. So it was just simple advice. So I treated my sister as a friend, as a good friend, not overprotective. So I went back to the mines. Then later on, I found that my sister got a boyfriend. I was going, okay, let it be. Okay. She's old enough already. She's going to university. And later on, she brought the boyfriend over. A very polite guy. He come in and he's very nice to my parents. It's nice to us. They asked permission from my parents if he can go out with my sister. Then he came back. Then was always polite all the time. Then I was scratching my head. It's going, okay. I told my little sister, I think the guy is maybe too much higher standard than you, because you're a bit short. You're not the best looking person. But this guy is really, really good looking, handsome and tall, and very smart. Yeah. But I think my sister realized that he was quite kind and see all the good qualities. Because if he comes, he will always ask my parents if they can go out together. Yep. So after that, I think my sister finished study, got work, and he went off and worked in the mines as an engineer. But they did get contact together. So after that, when I ordained as a monastic, as a novice, then my sister got married. So I came for the wedding. Yeah, so they've been a very happy couple. I mean, there is argument, but not so much. Sometimes you have to be honest to your kids, or especially your little siblings, and just be honest and tell them the truth. And sometimes they will listen, and they will respect that. But they realize that you're coming from good intention, and you want them to do well. Yep. So as your kids grow up, become teenagers and adults, treat them like a friend, like a good friend. Then they will understand. Because sometimes if you're too controlling and fault-finding, as soon as they're old enough, they all run away. They don't come back home. Yep. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Maybe it's a good time to stop. Is that okay?
Yes.
Put it in a basket and we see what we can do. Tomorrow, maybe now is some good time because it's dark outside to go and light some candles and quietly walk around the stupas and place them on the stupas. And then, do whatever you wish to do. Come back and meditate, go and rest, hang out there a little bit and watch the candles burn. And then we'll see you tomorrow. Shall we pay respect?
Yep.
And sorry about this one here. I think we'll need a vacuum cleaner because I poured it out and now we have all the bits and pieces there. Oops, hang on. Ready?
Yep.
Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivade Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamman Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Shall we go first?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe the 3 monks can go first.